Well, hello, my name is Sebastian Rodriguez, and I'm going to present my final project about two business, one fictitious and one real, about this discourse of international business and international environments and business operations. Well, I'm going to start first with Magos Company, which is the fictitious one from Boston, who the CEO is Maria Jose Garza Zavala. So this presentation is going to be about her. Here's her phone number, and we're going to answer some questions about she doing business here in Mexico. Since she's from USA, it must have some free trade agreements, and we have to answer this question about the the services she wants to get here in Mexico. First, the relationship between Mexican demographics and the purchasing power is favorable for them or their products. Most of the Mexicans, the Mexican demographics appears to be fine in different socioeconomic levels. It means where the Mexican purchasing power, it doesn't depend of how money they got. It depends of how they want to purchase, because there's always the necessity for the day-to-day things like food, like uh, mopping the floor, things like that. But when a Mexican wants to get like a cell phone, uh, maybe some tobacco, maybe some headphones like these ones, they they keep saving money or even get some credit to buy. There's a little bit of communisms here, consumisms. So it is really easy for the Mexicans to get a product or even pay for one or save money for this or even get some money lent by them. Well, how the Mexican political system can help or undermine the end of war. Right now, since the political system pretends to help, people keep spending or even doing whatever they want because there's a new president who's called AMLO, and he's have done quite decisions that doesn't favorable the country, and it has gone even uh, with the unknown of how the countries are going to invest here in Mexico. So it's with the new laws on the new political system that it's going to be a little bit confusing at the very beginning, but then in the future it's going to be more stabilized to doing investments here in Mexico. How it will play out within the Mexican economic system, in specific with the economics surrounding that specific industry. In specific, the economics will be a little bit difficult because of the people and the business around. With the economic system will help because right now the government and the politics and the people are hiring and making the country grows economically, and even doing uh, business abroad with other countries such as Europe, such as Asia, such as uh, some countries like that. So, uh, trying to reach a market in specific, they will work in many laws and free trade agreements that we got. But maybe in the future, the laws will change and will be a different way to start a business here in Mexico or in other countries, and even get expand to doing business with other countries. So it will be easier in a quite well of time. We have to wait to see that. How to use the Mexican legal system or relevant government regulations to their favor. The Mexican legal system is really specific today about doing business with other companies or even doing business abroad, because with the other countries we got so many free trade agreements about importing, about exporting, about getting business here in Mexico and do their main headquarters here, and there's so many opportunities here that they can really help you, and the government even help you to get the business here and hire some Mexican workers. That is quite simple, since the Mexican is a person who works hard, that wants to know, that wants to invest, that wants to keep looking for a better Mexico and keep a good relationship with other countries. So the government and the Mexican legal system is actually allowing, according to the laws, getting here and establish some headquarters and some office or or business here in Mexico. How do the foreign direct investments work in Mexico, and if there are any legal incentives they can take advantage of? Foreign investments are mostly concentrated in those neighboring the US border, where mainly assembly factories are located, as well as in the capital. Thanks to its robust tourism industry, the Yucatan Peninsula also receives substantial foreign investments. Uh, right now, the investments come principally from USA and Spain, specific the banking sector. Other sectors receiving significant foreign investments are finance, the automobile industry, and the electronics and energetic sector. How is the Mexican peso doing? An analysis of the current monetary trends around it. The monetary peso has increased 0.0299 or 16% to 90.0977 on Thursday, April 25, from 19.06 in the previous trading session. Historically, the Mexican peso the highest has been in 25.92 in January 2007, and the lowest was zero point zero 0.01 in May of 1972. Actually, the peso is doing not so bad, but it keeps decreasing or increasing. So it will depend on the date that the company wants to get here to Mexico. They have to analyze it again. They have to analyze their prices, the services, etc., etc., etc. What to expect about the Mexican hiring practices, employments, and benefits? Well, as I talked before, in Mexico here, the Mexican employment rights, regardless of the jurisdiction chosen by the parties, in their employment agreement, and even where the employees waive their entitlement to these rights. Here in Mexico, the employment benefits are so much that you have to give even Christmas bonus, vacations, or premium vacations, paid vacations could be also. But in Mexico, it's necessarily because the Mexican work hard, is work for 8 hours straight, even more, and it is common that in Mexico you have to stay more hours on the job or the office because you need to get to you need to have the work done. So the employment here in Mexico, it's great about the hardworking people, the honestly, the humble, and it's actually pretty good for doing the investments here or even hiring workers here. On least relevant trade policy details, Mexico pursuits of free trade agreements with other countries is a way to bring benefits to the economy. Free trade agreements such as NAFTA, Mexico-Chile free trade agreement, Mexico-European Union, we got so many free trade agreements that we can establish, we can use the opportunities to use to have some investments, to have some business abroad. Mexico has done so many free trade agreements and had so many special trades that have been so well, so it will convene for the country, for the business of Magos Company to get here in Mexico, since you have so many information, so many services, so many hardworking people. Here, Mexico is a great place, and as a worker, it is pretty good for the business to get along with Mexico doing business, establish some headquarters, some office, some buildings, etc., etc. As conclusion, by the information gathered on Magos Company services to Maria Jose Garza Zavala, with the small strategies planned, you have the better information that you could ever get, since how's the peso doing, how free trade agreements got Mexico, how to establish headquarters, how the employment works, etc., etc. So it's pretty easy to invest here in Mexico, since the government help you, since there are some laws that actually help you, since you have to be here in Mexico and even make some money and enjoy other free trade agreements that Mexico had. So it's a great place to start a business too. Well, right now we're going to Finísima Cerveza Artesanal, which is in Monterrey and wants to expand to Europe. Since the European Union is one of the most countries that drink alcohol, since Finísima Cerveza Artesanal sells beer, in specific crafted beer. So it's going to be easy for the company to expand to Europe since they having a beer in between their meals or while eating lunch. It's pretty good for Finísima Cerveza Artesanal to have some business there since they don't have any specific shop to do. They just have to do some alliances with the supermarkets, with the uh, convenience stores, with some restaurants of high quality since a high quality beer. But here we start. The relationship between the demographics and purchasing power in that country is favorable for the Mexican company. In Europe, in the European Union, demographics have a lot in common since most of the time they drink alcohol, they drink wine, as I talked before, and they hang out with friends and get together and drink and have a talk, have a chat, even have some dinner. So it's pretty common that the demographics that they have alcohol in between the countries, and also it's established that 17 of the countries have study above average per capita purchasing power. So it's a good place to invest and get your product there. How the political system can help or undermine your client. Many citizens, politicians, and political activists voice concern about the political influence of business in European Union. Contrary to what is widely expected, Italy, France, and Germany, the central countries of European Union, have held national elections in the last 2 years in each different way that has speculatively upended the post-war status quo, which this means that the politicals, by doing business in the European Union, is pretty good about the free trade agreement that they got with Mexico and the European Union, where in a specific they have so many laws. One, as I read about alcohol, they have the packaging on the crates have to be very specific, so the bottle doesn't break. It has to be 16 per crate in the packaging, and it's pretty easy to expand a product over the European Union since there are so many countries such as Spain, such as Italy, such as uh, Germany that the most of the people drink, and it's also allowed to drink on the streets. In some places such as Germany, it is allowed to drink on the street. So it's quite helpful. There have been so many laws about the alcohol, but it has been decreasing a lot. How the whole project will play out within the economic system of the targeted country. The product about Finísima Artesanal could be easily enter the target of the products because it's a high quality beer that people will enjoy in between their meals or even if they hang out at night. By delivering the product, it has to be packaged in special crates, as I talked before, that would not affect the beer. The project of delivering product to Europe has been a little bit difficult because people will know about the product, but it has to be on specific stores, such as supermarkets, such as restaurants, such as convenience stores, where they can get the beer, a high quality beer. Well, how do foreign direct invest works in the country? Foreign ownership of European Union companies have been rising in the last 10 years. Investments by state-owned enterprise has grown rapidly over the last years. Such companies from China, Russia, and the United Arab Emirates have performed 3 times more acquisitions in the European Union in 2017 than in 2007, which means that the direct investment in the European Union has been increased so many over the years that it's actually one of the best places to invest. The currency in the European Union, it has so many currency signs such as euro, such as Kretzel, such as um uh well there are so many uh Armenia drab or Albania lek. Um, well, there's so many currencies, but actually the ones that's predominant are the euro and the pound. Well, how to comply to the relevant fiscal and environmental regulations? The European Union citizens benefit from some of the highest environmental standards in the world. The European Union and national governments have set clear objectives to get European environmental policy until 2020 and vision beyond, and where to be on the 2050. The Commission's experts group of EIA, SEA, national experts bring together environmental experts from national administrations and meets twice a year. The role of this group is to provide advice and expertise to the European Commission and its department in relation to the implementation of the EIA and SEA directives, which means there are some laws you have to keep and follow, which means by preserving the forest, by cleaning waters and such things like that, and even regulations for even the customers or the normal people that go around the country. It has so many regulations about the environmental regulations that apply on every business because you have to be conscious of the environment. The free trade agreement. Actually, Mexico and the European Union have a free trade agreement which Finissima Artesanal can use. It was signed on 1997 in the city of Brussels under the designation Agreement of Economic Partnership, Political Coordination, and Cooperation between the United Mexican States and the European Community and its members, which means we got a free trade agreement which has the opportunity to export to over European Union without having so much danger. Obviously, you have to keep in mind about the Incoterms, how many you get about the responsibility of the product, but you got a free trade agreement about it, and it's pretty simple to use it in this kind of trades that Mexico got with other countries. About the conclusion of Finissima Cerveza Artesanal, which is a company that sells beer, it's pretty easy for this country to expand into a national market first because you can't get easily into international countries such as European Union. You can get over a few places only on national because it is pretty simple to test, to do some research. After the research, test about the product, how they are going to sell it over the European Union, and even have a trend and have a research about the trend of drinking beer between the meals or at night with their friends, how they behave with the treat of beer, and also keep learning about the laws, about the supermarkets, about how the economics works over Europe. Obviously, you have to get some alliances, such as the supermarkets, with the people, with the government, that would allow you to keep growing in other country. With this, I highly suggest for Finissima Artesanal to do business in Europe. In Europe, it's quite simple. You already got the free trade agreement. You already got that research that the European Union, 17 countries got a highly average purchasing power. You know that they are, well, European Union is the number one country that drink the most alcohol in the world. So it's quite a great place for beer investors or beer exporters to expand. It's quite simple, and you already got the information here. So to Finissima Artesanal, I really recommend that you should do some business there and keep it simple. I already told you some of your alliances, such as governments, such as the supermarket, such as restaurants, which could allow you to get their products on their business and get some income by it. Well, this is all. I have to say thank you, and well,